This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my god!
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get involved!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.
Road America, a fast-paced thrill ride which time and again has been a track which, although not the first one that comes to mind, often produces some very, very accomplished sim racing. This is a place which, time and again, with SimSpeed TV here, bringing you the Virtual Racing School GT Sprint Series this time, has proven once and for all that it deserves its place as one of the marquee tracks that America has to offer. You don't need streets, you don't need, you would say, a new element to it. You could even argue you don't even need a hairpin, but what you get is some wonderful sim racing action time and again. Of course, last week we found ourselves with amazing action over the course of what we were doing at the Nürburgring. Today, another case of speed available for us once more. I'm Jake Sperry, joined alongside by Jay Kennedy here with all of the action from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. And Jay, 6.44 kilometers, 14 turns. We see it time and again. This is a long track, but this is also a track where you need as much bravery as you possibly can as we zoom on in to Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool track. One that I've enjoyed during my sim racing exploits a long time ago now, but it's a track that is often forgotten about how good it actually is. It just provides great racing, long straights, lots of sweeping corners, lots of chances to overtake it, lots of chances to make your move and plan your move. Coming with that though, lots of chances to make errors. So it's going to be a very, very interesting race, and strategy will play a big part of it. Fuel saving when you're in the draft, making sure that you're not necessarily the first car in a train of cars could be the key to winning the race later on and planning your moves. It's going to be very, very fun to watch.
It certainly will. There's a whole heap of places you can get moves done up into turn number 1, which is heading south down the circuit, up north towards turn number 5, which will you descend down the hill and then make that run back up again. And then over towards 12 at Canada Corner, you've always got the option to make opportunities happen around this place here today. But with your VRS GT Sprint Series, we are in the midst of qualifying. There are the championship standings as things look. Luke McKeown currently at the top, 1,160 points, and clear of Gerald Chevalier, the Frenchman, Alex Dunn, the Irishman, and then Max Del Orco, the Maverick Italian, there in 4th position. Some names that are on here that you'd expect, some names maybe that you wouldn't expect to be on here. Of course, a number of drivers have chosen here and there to take a round out for different reasons, and so we'd probably see by about round 9 a much more, I would call, more legitimate picture, Jay.
Yeah, I think you're right, and you know, we've got a few drivers that are basically in the top 10 in standings because they've done every round, so that's the only reason that they're in there. And other drivers that haven't done every round are just sitting outside the top 10 and once we get to that week 8 being completed, we'll start to see a more true championship picture. But what it shows is consistency is king, because, you know, getting points in every round is enough to get you in the top 10. If you can then get some decent points in some of those rounds, it'll put you on for a very, very likely top 10 by the end of the season.
And it's those top 10s that we'll be keeping a very, very interesting eye on. It's been a lot of drivers as well looking to put themselves into racing. We saw almost 100 drivers sign up in 5 minutes here to get themselves through. It was looking like maybe 200. It was now more like 300 as we focus on Toby Soriano here in the McLaren number 1, making that dive down the hill, using all of the road there on the right-hand side. You're not going to get an off-track for that, even if you go over the white line. So a little bit of track extending you are able to do around this Road America circuit. And this is what you see from these GT drivers. These GT machines have been driven so much, so often, have been a mainstay of 24-hour races, have been a mainstay in terms of strength of fields. They're often the most populous overall. And so you find with these vehicles, Jay, that a lot of these drivers know how to push these machines to the absolute limit.
100% right. The limit as well around this circuit, with the way that the walls can creep up. It's almost like a street circuit with how close the walls can be. So making mistakes can prove to be an issue throughout races here too. So don't expect just because it's a normal circuit, normal-ish circuit, with you know, being a permanent facility, that the chances of mistakes and errors don't come about. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how that plays into it as well. It's going to be a very, very tight race too. Very, very stacked field too for this one.
Absolutely. The first times are starting to come in on the board. We'll see what Toby Soriano can do as he makes his way forward. Currently, Marco Jaeger is the fastest of them all. That is a 2:03 flat. And Toby Soriano, he puts an entire second down on the board as he goes through. Vendel Para puts himself up into P2 for the moment. Daniel Modelon, of course, is inside the top 10 in the championship. Number 9, Club Brazil. We'll see what Modelon is able to do, making a charge to the line. Barra Vieira goes into second position as Modelon makes the charge. That is only a 2:04 flat, so 5th position only. First lap time's really in the book, and Soriano looks like he is head and shoulders at this stage above.
100%. He's absolutely flying out there, isn't he? He's done a very, very good job in regards to lap time. And to pull that sort of gap on your first flying lap, very, very unheard of in this series. Maybe on the second lap, but getting it done on that first lap, absolutely incredible as the times continue to file in. How's this, though? We've got a Ford out there today.
Oh, how OP. Scott Brazier looking to try and pilot the Ford forward, and he puts a 2:04.1 down on the board. Then at least for the time being, that will be good enough for him to jump up a few places. So we'll see how those times all work out. Doesn't look like that one potentially for Brazier has been one which I think has counted. So we'll keep that in mind as more continues. Mark Winkler at this stage in the number 27 machine, making his way through Bill Mitchell Bend, off camber through here. Very difficult. You have to gather the car up on the exit. And you can see just how bumpy this Road America track is. It's not a case of when the updates came in, they did anything to the track. Moreover, they just gave it a nice little gloss over with some of the advertising hoardings as they charged over to the line. So that's to the pits. Diego Morales then in the AMG Mercedes, ever a surefire bet car, the Mercedes, to make a pilot around. That's a 2:04.3 there, which is good enough for Morales to jump up to P11 overall as Maxime Tillineuf moves up into what is 13th position. John Derrick making a charge, 2:04 flat.
Yeah, puts himself in P6. See what Modelon can do in the... no, he's not going to do anything because that's pit entrance. I do love seeing so many McLarens. It does bring back memories of the original Grand Am series when we saw the McLaren with the old HPD together.
2:04.4 for Christian Ortega. That is good enough then to move to 17th position overall. Roger Rosenda jumped up to second. Brazier still out there on a lap now, looking to try and improve in the Ford. Is down there at the moment, would start P26, all things considered. If he doesn't get this lap correct here, Brazier is very good when it comes to GT, having a few connection issues as he jumps up the hill in the Ford, trying to charge over to the line. We'll see what the time is. It's a 2:04.4. It's only P18 though in the end. The 9th row of the grid will not be ideal. It's a 40-minute race, and everyone else, I think, Alejandro Ferreira out of time. Everybody done then with their laps, as we will be getting ourselves then all situated right now with where everyone has stacked up in qualifying. Number one, position number one, and by a hefty margin as well. Toby Soriano, 2:03.094. Every reason to be excited at this moment in time. We'll have Roger Rosenda alongside him as a 2:03.580, as you can see on screen. McLaren's front four, Vendel Parra there in third, and Will Barraviera starting it off in fourth position. Daniel Cruz, the first of the Mercedes, then starting in fifth, with Sergio Junior then going off from sixth position. Then it's Marco Jaeger and John Derrick making it 7 McLarens in the top 8, and it'll be 9 in the top 10, because Artem Grabov in the Audi gets ninth, with Benoit Lepezinek rounding out the top 10. Daniel Modelon starts from 11th with Mathieu van Herkelen, then in 12th, the first of the Ferraris in this field, as Mark Winkler and Julius Falbush make up row 7. Diego Morales goes from 15th, with Julian Ezequiel Alvarez then in 16th position overall. Christian Ortega and the only Ford, Scott Brazier, there in 18th place on the grid, 2:04.4 for him. Well, I said only Ford. Seems like Maxime Tillynerve is also going Ford bound in 19th position, with Luis Gonzaga Filio there in 20th position overall. Antonio Peixer starts in 21st, with Bernie Perez in 22nd. Miron Mikheyev and then Dennis Manka make up row number 12. And we look further back, Damon Martinez and Mehdi Mokrani make up the final drivers who put times in. Francisco Ramirez, Thomas Racer, and then Alejandro Ferrero will be separated by iRacing in 27th, 28th, and 29th positions then on the grid for this one today. Of course, Jay, they will have a rolling start for this one, as they will be looking to get themselves all sorted out here at Road America. The key, they're going to have one full lap behind the iRacing Porsche first safety car.
Yeah, so it's a fairly long pacing process around this circuit, so we've got heaps of time to discuss strategy and positions that you can get moves done as they start to slowly funnel their way around behind the safety car. It's going to be a tough race for a lot of these drivers, because it's a fairly decent length race. 40 minutes, sure, it's the same as every other track, but it's going to be a very, very tough race mentally for some of the drivers, because it is such a difficult track to break the draft in.
It really is, and you start to work it out the moment that you get into a couple of laps. You start getting these battle packs that start to form. The only place you can really break away is that middle sector, where the time is the most, I would say, easy to drop off. But outside of that, you are very, very reliant on staying around in a circuit, which is very difficult. And I think the key for a lot of these drivers is survive lap number 1 in terms of this race, because this is a very narrow track. It's got a narrow pit straight. You're 3 wide at best, and you've got to be brave to go 3 wide to make things happen. But you don't have a massive braking zone into turn number 1. It's a very quick, very fast run into one. And you'll see here over the course of this formation lap, a lot of drivers are going to be very, very cautious, especially Roger Rosenda right now, as they try and save as much fuel as they possibly can to give themselves more margin in the pit stop to go and have a shorter stop.
Yeah, exactly right. They're going to be saving as much fuel as they can at this point. So it's already become strategy games from here. You can see there, look, on board, 4th gear up the hill, only just over 1,000 RPM. So probably be the only time for the entire day in this race that we're going to see revs that low, other than a car being out of the race.
And let's talk fuel saving around this place, because fuel saving is so key to winning a sprint race. Seems very, very weird to say that, but if you think about it in terms of elevation, there's one very large elevation gain and not very many elevation drops, which you'd feel are sharp around this place, Jay.
Yeah, exactly right. You got that really intense uphill section, the run up to turn 6, and then from there it sort of just plateaus off from there, doesn't it? And I mean, you've got that uphill rise at the start-finish line as well, but other than those two big rises, you don't even feel like you're going downhill at all, because they're so few and far between the downhill sections. So a lot of very, very slight gradient down, but a lot more sharp gradient uphill, which does mean that your fuel usage can be a little bit higher through that section. So some of those sections where you think you might be able to save fuel, you can't actually save as much just due to the elevation change.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. Drivers now heading their way through the Kettle Bottoms over towards Canada Corner. A handful of corners to go. This will be the final chance on these sort of laps where you can get moves done. We've seen them come right down to the wire over the course of this season so far, and my goodness, are we getting ourselves nicely ready and prepared for action. You've got to get yourself into line quickly if you're Roger Rosenda. You're down in 4th position right now, and you've got to make sure you're up there alongside one Mr. Toby Soriano, and that will cause everyone now to take the big rush, so to speak, to get themselves into line. This final 90-degree right there or thereabouts is going to be so crucial to make sure that you have that run and watch those licks of flames here from all sorts of McLarens up near the front. Pace car dives down in. That's an early go by Toby Soriano, and that maybe caught Rosenda napping ever so slightly as he got that jump and getaway. Suddenly we're too wide here on the front as we got the green and we are underway. Para there on the inside. You've got there Vieira waiting for place in P4 as they go in towards turn number 1. Nice and calm through the first lot of positions. Nice and calm through the latter half of positions. And they are trying to work out where they need to go in towards turn 3. And now it's about keep your nerve as you now start to attack the middle sector.
How's this? Look at on board here from Brazier, and it's just cars everywhere. McLaren's everywhere, flames everywhere, which is a cool sight, but not if you're stuck at the back of the pack. And this middle pack there, 3 wide. We've made it through, have we?
Spinner.
No, we've got a spinner.
Not sure who that was. I think I just about missed it. It was an immediate issue there for Will Baraviera from P4 at the time, looking to get through. So disaster here as we'll catch this on the Virtual Racing School replay. Massive thanks goes to the Virtual Racing School for sponsoring the replays for us this year at SimSpeed TV. He fell very nicely into line there, had his teammate just in front, but looks to put the power down. It's just taken too much out to the inside. Grass, and very fortunate there with that sort of spin and the new smoke physics that nothing happened. And we're going to focus here on Daniel Modelon as well, because it looks like he's had a moment and he is out coming through the Kettle Bottom section.
Yeah, he's out of the race complete.
Ooh. And that's white. And I think there has been a big one for John. There's a huge one on the back straight. There was an absolutely huge accident with John Derrick on the back straight. So a huge disaster has befallen, I believe, a whole host of cars. We're going to catch it now. Derrick's going to be in the middle of it, and it's going to be 4, 5, 6. I'd say lemmings off a falling cliff going through this section. So there's the smoke as they go through. And now watch this. Chain reaction as they go through. And my goodness, Spa 97 has nothing on this accident.
Yeah, who do we focus on there to try and work out who's involved at the start? Yep. No idea. Brazier's involved. Alvarez is involved.
Van Herkelen. Everyone. Just absolutely everyone. How on earth you dissect that? I do not know. We've got about a dozen cars in the pits then on the opening lap. Well, let's have a little look on this one. This is Antonio Paixer that we have a look. You can see smoke everywhere. Which way do you go? There's cars up and over everywhere. It's almost like trying to go through a minefield there because you have no idea when a car's going to go up or not, and you have so alert to everything and where everybody is. One lap already scored complete. Toby Soriano is already 2 seconds clear of Vendel Power in second and Roger Rosenda in third. I just want to point out, Bernie Perez has climbed from 22nd to 7th in the opening lap.
That's brilliant. Just kept it out of trouble. I must say he needed to be in the right place at the right time to make it through that big incident. Through the narrow section, that was sort of that street circuit feel that I was talking about before. At that section there, very, very narrow, the wall's very, very close. And such a quick section as well. Doesn't take much for it to be a huge chain reaction and end up with a big disaster, and we've seen that. Started with 29, we're already down to 18.
Yeah, all that big incident was caused by Marco Jaeger spinning his McLaren over in the kink. So it was Marco Jaeger's incident that set everybody off as they went on through. But the racing action does continue then as we focus here on Para and, of course, on Rosenda. We go to the virtual racing score replay then and have a look at Marco Jaeger. It was coming through the kink, so just a little bit before that, you can see he'll go and make this run through this right-hand kink, and he's just going to push a little bit too hard on a not-so-stable McLaren. You can see the back steps out even midway through the corner, and then he's trying to gather it up. He spins it back around again, and welcome chain reaction. 2, 3, 4 in the wall. Make that brazier get caught up 5, the flipper up there 6. You know, that's the reason why you have to be so alert, and you have to hit the brakes now, where otherwise, when you would say last season, Jay, you didn't need to hit the brakes because you could see exactly how the incident would unfold.
Yeah, the smoke there making it a lot more difficult for drivers to work their way through those sort of incidents. Very, very disappointing to see, but we continue on at the front of the field, and this battle for second and third, very, very tight, very, very close, but fuel saving definitely coming into it. Rosenda definitely has the pace to get the move done, but he's quite content just sitting behind at the moment.
Yep, sitting behind he is, and of course, the longer that he sits behind, the more he can actually save fuel, Roger Rosenda. So he gets this opportunity now, if he wants to save maybe an entire lap's worth of fuel. Very easy to do when you sit behind around a draft-centric circuit like Road America, because you don't actually need to close up right up to the back of Wendell Power in this situation. In this sort of scenario, Jay, you can effectively just sit 2, 3 car lengths back, half throttle, or even no throttle, and, you know, be very, very comfortable with where you are in this sort of race.
Exactly right, and he's probably just happy and content doing that right now. I mean, they are losing a fairly big margin to Soriano at the front, but Rosenda and even Daniel Cruz in that Mercedes will be happy and content just sitting in behind at this stage as well. We were saying before, very, very strategic race, and this is the strategy we were talking about. Saving fuel, planning whether you do or don't make a pass is just as important as actually being able to get a move done.
It certainly is, and that's what we're going to see over the course of the action here, these 40 minutes, which are down to 33 minutes and 40 seconds right now as we go on board with Daniel Cruz at the moment, looking to try and stay with the group in front. 0.6 of a second the gap then as he crossed the line in the Williams gym machine there. The, of course, I would say side team to the Williams Esports Academy Williams gym, and the work that Javier Guerrera has done there has been fantastic. We've got a battle going on a little bit further down though. Christian Ortega under pressure from Will Barraviera then for place, and Barraviera searching for the inside, and there's contact, and that did not look on, and Ortega is on the radio immediately.
Yeah, that definitely was not on. Very, very late lunge, and unfortunate there for Ortega. He's going to lose a couple of extra spots here. You see, not there, not there, not there, not there. Definitely not there. I'm sure there was a little bit of netcode, but he was never going to make the corner even if there wasn't. So the netcode probably made the spin a little bit less severe for Ortega, because if it wasn't there, yeah, may have ended up getting shuffled into the wall even harder.
Yeah, that definitely does seem to be the case at this stage. We have ourselves 11 drivers 1 lap down or further or out of the race. 18 drivers still in this field, and at the moment, second, third, the big battle out there at the moment. Roger Rosenda, Vendel Power, and the reason why you'd see someone like Roger Rosenda sitting back and waiting in this sort of situation is because they've got that pit stop. And effectively, when you play with the fuel game and look to try and get the pit stop, you could argue in some circles, Jay, it's a free overtake in the sense that you don't have to risk your car out there trying to stick one down the inside to try and make an overtake.
We've said it many, many, many times before, and it's never been more proven than at this track here. Much easier to make an overtake in the pits than it is anywhere else on the circuit. You can lose so much time in the pits, and you can gain positions very, very easily just from playing it smart, having a slightly shorter pit stop. Much easier to have a 3 or 4 tenth quicker pit stop and gain your position than try and make a risky overtake around a circuit like this. So Rosenda is basically just setting himself up for the overtake at the pit stop. While it does look like, you know, not much is happening between these two, it's a very, very strategic game that is happening now. One thing with that, though, is Rosenda can then be prone to making a mistake, because while you're fuel saving, you're too busy concentrating on that fuel delta, can lapse in concentration, actually paying attention to the cars around you. So he does leave himself vulnerable to Daniel Cruz potentially making a mistake. If he makes a mistake, that fuel delta is gone, because then he has to put the power down. Concentration is king right now.
Oh, it certainly is, and this is what we're going to be seeing all race long. Toby Soriano clear by 3 seconds. I think that unless Soriano's making a mistake, as we get a little look down the inside, then that is Barra, I think, who has just made the move on what is going to be Francisco Ramirez again. Ramirez really being a thorn in the side there in that Audi, giving a real opportunity to close up underneath with the draft and try to the outside. Why? Because there is so much damage on that McLaren. Remember, that McLaren has backed it into the wall. You can see there is that little dip in the rear spoiler, so rear end grip is not going to be ideal here for Barra Vieira.
You remember turn 5 on lap 1, Barra Vieira was around the wrong way, got a little helping hand from his teammate after he'd already started to spin. It just finished the spin off. Wondering, because that was, from memory, that was who the spinner was. Marco Jaeger was the car that gave contact to Barra Vieira, yes?
No.
Okay.
What you'd find is that Marco Jaeger's spin was down further on in the lap, and the car that Barra Vieira hit was absolutely nobody. Car that Jaeger made contact with was actually Artem Grabov in the Audi, and was incredibly lucky, actually, Artem Grabov, to stay in this race. He's currently residing in 6th position, pretty much island racing at this stage. 3 seconds behind Sergio Junior and 6 seconds ahead of Bernie Perez.
Yeah, I was just trying to piece together a bit of the puzzle to see if maybe there was a little bit of damage from that contact that may have caused that spin, but definitely not that being the case then. So, little mistake on this lap from Para at the exit of turn 1, brought Rosende right up behind, and he could have made a move, but has opted against it. Another little mistake from both of them there. Daniel Cruz has dropped a little bit off these guys. I'm wondering if that's a strategic thing, seeing how hard these guys are starting to battle. Maybe thinking, back off a little bit, leave myself a little bit of space in case they do make a mistake and in case they do make contact.
That's definitely one reason you could say for Daniel Cruz at this stage. He's very much going to be alert to the fact that everybody else is out there scrapping, as is this 3-car scrap. Diego Morales now having to play defensive pack because he's got Thomas Ressa and Miron Markeyev then just behind, as they want to go and have their little battle through the long right of the carousel. And this is a high load and high intensity corner. It's one of those really awkward corners where in certain vehicles you have to keep turning even if the back end is starting to step out, because the fact that the very act, you could say, Jay, of lifting off of the pedal will just completely destabilize the car and cause a tank slapper the other way.
Exactly right. You almost want to get it into a controlled slide as opposed to trying to straighten the car up, because it'll put you in the outside wall quicker than you can click your fingers. So sometimes finding the right balance of oversteer and understeer is very, very tough through that corner. By far the toughest corner on the circuit, because there is so much load. I must say, how good is Reese's car there? The meme livery, love it. But yeah, making sure that you don't have too much load on the car and have the right amount of load and have the right amount of oversteer and understeer. Very, very crucial. That's a nice move. Down the front straight, and Morales may lose two. No, not quite going to lose two, but holding on to 10th position for now.
Morales was someone who got really caught up in that incident at the back end of lap 1. You can see damage to the front, damage to the rear. Markeyev definitely wanting to find a way through, and we'll get a really good run here on the, I would say, the slide through the moraine sweep at this stage over towards turn 5. Doesn't matter that you're in the draft. Look at that, pulls over across there to 21 versus the 17. Markeyev then late on the brakes, but look how easy it is for that AMG Mercedes just to lift off and brake a little later. Didn't have any angle at the turn-in though, so ultimately they stay where they are. There has been a change though for P2. Resender's feeling like he's being a little bit too held up. He's gone and got the move done in towards turn 2, which looked like it was, sorry, turn 3, which was a mistake ultimately from Vendel Power, who outbroke himself through the corner. How much of that was a mistake? How much of that was tactics? I don't know.
Yeah, it could have been one of those situations of, oh, whoops, I made a mistake. Oh, no. We've seen that before, haven't we? The tactical error where you know, just make it look like you've made an error, but you actually haven't. You've planned that move and changed your position, but we'll see if Resender stays in front or whether he makes that tactical error himself. The gap at the front now 5 seconds. These three definitely have a bit of space to close back up to the leader, and Sergio Jr. in behind. He's only 3 seconds back, so he can close in on these guys very, very easily if they continue to fight very, very hard.
That would be the key here in this one, and that sort of move could have very easily have been a chess grandmaster Eric Rosen's "oh no, my queen" in terms of that situation. So a lot of work goes into trying to figure out where you need to be in terms of races. Marco Jaeger is back now out on circuit. I do need to add he's 5 laps down now at this stage, but a lot of drivers will race for a lot of reasons late on, as we're on board with Daniel Cruz there in 4th position. One of those reasons you may find a lot of drivers still going out there, even though they're 5 laps down and probably have no hopes of catching anything out in sort of this race. Julius Falbush is in the same boat, is that they still have iRacing and safety rating on the line. They know that if they can keep themselves out there and driving around, they will actually keep their safety rating in check, and they'll leapfrog everybody else who is 5 laps down and has decided to retire the car.
Yeah, exactly right. And there's also the possibility that they could gain some more spots, because we could see another incident like we've already seen. So you never can discount something like that happening. And Marco Jaeger being car number 2, continuing on and finishing 21st, that's a much better result than finishing 28th. So definitely damage limitation mode for a lot of these guys going out there and doing some laps at the moment.
Yeah, and they'll be trying to work out, well, how bad's the damage? There is Markeyev, and that driver behind Markeyev, of course, is Morales, and he's now starting to fall backwards into the pack here. Is Diego Morales. He's got Will Vieira just behind, who, of course, we know is really quick. He qualified well P4. Francisco Ramirez just started to fall off the back, but still, this is an important part of the race, because that is going to be tough. The AMG Mercedes is very good under braking, but just unable to carry as much through the corners, it seems. And all of a sudden, that little bit of a late brake there in the Simsa machine just puts into range and just puts into speculation how easy it is for someone like Vieira to close up.
Exactly right. Vieira not far off the rear, and of course pit window is well and truly open as well, so we could start to see drivers come in and make their splash for fuel. Be around about 10 seconds worth of fuel needed for the drivers. One thing about this track though, we've talked before about fuel saving. Reason why it's so important here too is it's such a long pit lane. If you can limit the amount of time that you're at a reduced speed, it makes it much better for yourself out on the circuit. So with the length of the pit lane and the slow speed of this pit lane, spending as little time as you can in it, very key to getting a good result.
I'd say running out of fuel as well is a disaster as well, because
Very true.
it is very heavily uphill to finish off the lap. So you know that you're going to be in a world of trouble if you don't get it as you need it. Barra Vieira, they're all over the back of Morales going up the hill. We look from the rear spoiler of Miron Mikheyev here as he looks to try and get through 1, 2, 3, and 4. Francisco Ramirez is back in this battle as we focus on these 4 going through the hurry down section in towards turn 8, I do believe, out there on track. Very tough corner then, and then the long carousel that very duly, I would say, follows after that. So a lot of work to be done here, and look at that, Barra Vieira is searching everywhere for a move. He is very much like an excitable puppy at this stage.
It's a different way of describing it, but Barra Vieira definitely looking the quickest out of this 4-car group, saying that Ramirez looking very, very decent as well. Here comes the move into Canada corner. Don't think this one's going to be 4 at all. Here goes Barra Vieira into P11.
Yep, easy pass then for the number 11 machine that moves up into position number 11. So a very nice move then that has been constructed from all of that, and the focus now will be on charging on forward. Biggest gainer in the field, though, is Thomas Reza. We saw him make a pass a little bit earlier on. You can't miss that car for a month of Sundays with Nick Cage there on the front of it. But 28th up to 9th, that is 19 places gained.
Brilliant job to gain so many positions. It's probably just come down to as much about luck getting through that incident as much as anything else. Is a little bit of damage to the car, but doesn't look like it's even got too many scratches on it. Which, considering how big that incident was, to get through that relatively unscathed, that's a pretty remarkable effort.
Here comes Francisco Ramirez. He gets one, but he lifts out very early as Barra Vieira has the door left wide open there by Miron Mikheyev, who does about just enough then, opens out the door and just takes his natural line as he goes through. So work to be done then for Barra Vieira, who wants to move up now inside the top 10 in this race. Of course, Mikheyev himself is up 13 positions here in this one. On the brakes they go into the left-hander there at turn number 8, and then you've got 9, which follows very much immediately afterwards here on this circuit. That long carousel, which time and again has been so difficult on those left-hand side tyres there on the outside. Those are the ones that hurt the most. And as you go through that next right, sometimes if the carousel doesn't get you, the kink does, because it's even more load on those lefts.
Yeah, exactly right. Never-ending right-hand section, isn't it? And even when you come up to Canada corner, you've got yet another right-hander. So by the time you've just started to ease the car and ease a bit of pressure on that loaded side, the left-hand side of the car, you're back into it again. A lot of load on the left-hand side of the tyres, the left-hand side of the car, as Barra Vieira decides, I'm done. 10 laps complete, I'm coming in to do my pit stop. This is going to be the first real guide on how long the stop will take and how much fuel these guys are going to take.
Yep, an important stop then for Will Barra Vieira. He's got a little bit of damage on that rear as well, and that's something that we haven't really talked about here today, Jay. Damage and how it affects fuel economy.
Yeah, exactly right. The more damage you have on your car, the more throttle you need to use, so he may find that he's going to actually put a lot more fuel in the car, which could be partly why he's pitted earlier than everyone else. Probably going to see a lot more coming in at the end of this lap as Ramirez with a great run. But yeah, the amount of damage your car has means that you've got to use a lot more throttle, a lot more right foot to be able to brake the air. Means that you're going to have a longer pit stop. Pretty self-explanatory there as Ramirez. That's a nice little move. That's the first time I've seen anyone other than a McLaren make a real positive charge through the field, other than that move we saw earlier on for Reza.
Yep, so that is a good move for Francisco Ramirez. Car number 8 moving up into 11th. And sometimes when you're not the quickest driver in the world, the way that you pick up iRacing and safety rating, well, you do so very, very patiently, and it does pay off. There is Toby Soriano, though, And this is the sort of race that he absolutely enjoys in the IRS machine. He is someone who likes to go out there, set tempo, go out there from the front and really control the narrative of a race. He's currently doing so right now. He's got the fastest lap of the race so far. He's done a 2:03.8 on his last lap, 2:03.7 there as he is for a fastest lap. 6 seconds clear at the moment from Roger Rosenda. I think that he is having an absolutely lovely Friday night, or for his terms in Brazil, Friday afternoon drive.
Yeah, we'll be very, very happy with how it's going at the moment. Vieira, 12-second pit stop, so my guess of around 10 seconds for fuel, probably not too far off. As we said, he'll probably take a little bit more fuel because of the damage. Nobody's come in on the next lap, though.
No, nobody's gone to follow. They'll try and go as far as they possibly can. That will be the main strategy card that we'll be seeing out of a lot of these drivers. We focus on Francisco Ramirez and Miron Makayev. The reason why is that a lot of gaps have really started to form out there. Second, third and fourth, for example, are starting to split themselves up by 8 and 9 tenths respectively. This is the closest battle that we have out there on circuit, and really what you can say is that they've been doing some really good work. One driver that we haven't talked about at all in this race, inside the top 10, Mark Winkler there in P8, up 5 places off the start.
He's done a very, very good job just out in his own little world at the moment. We did have a little look at him in qualifying, but other than that, we haven't really seen anything of him. Started 13th, up to 8th. He's got 6 seconds up the road to Perez, and Reza slowly catching him. Around about 0.3 of a second quicker last lap by, 2 seconds behind. Won't be far away from him being closed up. Of course, pit stops will change that. And we started with 8 out of the top 10 being McLarens. Now, currently, only 6 out of the top 10 being McLarens.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. And with that freaky fast racing car as well, Jay, would you say that they took the literal definition of just chuck a paint on it?
Yes.
Good
I don't
talk.
think they chucked a paint on it. I think they just chucked paint on it.
I think they did. I think they absolutely did. And I think that that team has a very, very nice livery. So you get... Yeah, I think they get the seal of approval here at SimSpeed TV. So more work to be done as they look to continue up the hill and keep themselves alert in this sort of race. That is a spinner. That is a good smile racing car, I would say, of Alejandro Ferrero. You definitely cannot miss Alejandro Ferrero when he is out there and he is racing, because he's always putting on that Japanese-style GT300 style machine out there with their element to go. And of course, Good Smile Racing, the top Japanese team in the world of Super GT racing. So you can see back end steps out. There's damage on the front anyway. Very easy to loop it around in a rear-wheel drive car like the AMG Mercedes.
Yeah, it's a classic Mercedes incident, isn't it? You see that in the Mercedes. You also see those sort of spins in the Audi as well, but haven't seen any of those tonight. Touch wood. He comes in and makes his pit stop. Daniel Cruz has dropped off the back of these two a little bit, that being Rosenda and Para. So this battle of 3 is slowly becoming a battle of 2.
And I think that's down to the fact that Vendel Para knows he's getting late into the stint here. He's trying to close that gap down now, use the fuel available that he has in the car to get himself as close as possible to the back of Roger Rosenda potentially here, Jay. And then that gives him free license to choose when he comes down into the box. When he gets within, say, a margin of 4 tenths, 3 tenths, you make the call, you make the stop.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to see a few guys come into the pits this lap. Here we go. Pit stops well and truly coming around now.
Yeah, in comes the race leader, Toby Soriano, then, to make his pit stop. Rosenda swiftly follows. Vendel Para is in. Daniel Cruz in. Sergio Junior in. Top 5 all into the pits then, making their stop. Artem Grabov as well. They have all reached the limit. 13 laps to a tank for all drivers.
Yep, you saw a car continuing on. That was the car, I believe, of Valbush, yeah. So he's continued on. We saw how long ago Soriano jumped into the pit lane. He's only just reached his pit box. 30 seconds from pit entry to the time he reached his pit box before he could even start servicing his car.
That's crazy how long they have to spend, and it's not the slowest pit lane either in the world. They're doing 71 kilometers an hour down there, and you think you do 70 kilometers an hour on whatever A road or highway that you go on, doesn't feel like much at all. It feels quite quick, but in terms of racing around at 250 Ks, feels like an eternity. Now look at that from the stop. Daniel Cruz, who had been sitting patient there, has jumped Vendel Para in the stop. So that Mercedes has done a wonderful job there, and Vendel Para pays the price for it.
Yeah, and Para now is going to have to work hard to get the position back. Around about 2 seconds longer stopped for Para. What that will mean, though, is he's got fuel to burn in comparison to the two around him. So Rosenda 10.6, Cruz just under 10, and Para around 12 seconds stopped. That says to me, Para's going to be pushing hard. The other two are going to have to defend.
They certainly are. I want to point out that Barra Vieira has jumped Mikheyev and Morales in the stops, and we've got a great battle as well just behind that as well for 13th and 14th position, because Mehdi Mokrani in the Ferrari, you can see there just in the background, or now in the foreground you could say, is now fighting off Dennis Manka right now here as they look to try and scrap it out going into turn number 5. Very tough 90-degree corner, very easy to outbrake yourself there as well, and then up the hill they come along once again. This is going to be an interesting little battle between now and the end between these two.
Exactly right. It'll be very, very tight between them, between all of these drivers that have come out in battles. If they're within a second at this point, you're going to say that they're going to fight all the way to the end, because they're going to absolutely use the fuel in the car. They're also looking to be a 19-lap race. I'm wondering if some drivers may have looked at their timing at the start of the race and saw that it was going to be, or thought it would be a 20-lap race. But as the race is adjusted with adding in the pit stops and the fuel in the cars, meaning that you do slowly drop off your race pace, that it'll only be 19 laps of racing. Wondering if the likes of Para and even Sergio Jr. may have put a little bit extra in the car, thinking it's going to go 20 laps, and that now means they've got fuel to burn in that way.
I mean, you can never be too sure. You'd hate to be on the other end and effectively Formula E yourself towards the end of a race. So I think that at least at this moment in time, they want to be very alert. Vendel Para, 2:33 on the outlap, lost 9/10 of a second on the outlap to Roger Rosenda, who's got that gap out compared to Daniel Cruz at just, and I mean just, under a second when they crossed the line. It was about 600ths the difference missing there. So Daniel Cruz really has to work hard there in that Mercedes to stay up with the grunt of the McLaren.
Yep, he's slowly dropping back. It's now to 1.1 seconds, so he's just starting to lose grip. Rosenda probably has a little bit more fuel to burn than Cruz as well, so yeah, this is going to be a really, really interesting fight over the next 4.5 laps. Who is going to be able to hold on? Who's going to take the position? And will they be able to do it cleanly as well? That's the other thing. I mean, it's always something you have to think about in the back of your mind when you race at this circuit. Just always is a curveball in regards to being able to make passes effective and 100% clean. I mean, not that we're saying that anyone out there's a dirty driver. It's just the nature of this track that brings about contact, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the nature of this circuit. You've got to go out there. You've got to be very aggressive around this circuit. And when you know and understand that this is a track which prides itself on being battle upon battle upon battle, it is very, very easy to put yourself in the wrong position at the wrong possible time. So we'll keep an eye out on that. That gap again as they now cross the stripe once more. It's 1.2 seconds now for Daniel Cruz to Roger Rosenda. But the key is that it's 1 second back now for Vendel Para. So it's all swings and roundabouts right now. You can't catch the car in front. That's it. You're toast around here.
Exactly right. And it doesn't matter about how much fuel you've got. If the other car's faster, it doesn't really matter. So interesting that are you seeing what I'm seeing in regards to Daniel Cruz and his lap time? His last two lap times have not registered.
I am, and that's a little concerning because that could be a whole number of factors that he might be dealing with. It might be a penalty that he is serving with, or it might just be the fact that he's having a couple of connection issues with the server coming to the line that maybe we're not getting here from a viewership side end. So it could be any number of reasons that Daniel Cruz might be in a bit of trouble, and if it's the former, then that is a real shame for the Williams gym driver.
Yep. And that's what I was thinking. Is it a speeding in pit exit penalty? Has he let go of the pit limiter button a little too early to try and get ahead of Vendel Para? I'm thinking that that is likely what it is, because I haven't seen, you and I have both been watching him very, very closely. Haven't seen any blinks or anything like that. Haven't seen anything around a potential issue of connection. So, to me, that says that he may have to come in and serve a drive-through penalty. We'll
It certainly does. Well, we'll keep an eye out on it, because he's got 4 laps with the black and orange mechanical flag to go and serve any penalty that is there as they go through. So that will be very much one that they'll be keeping in mind the longer that this race does go on. We are down to the final 6 minutes. We'll see whether he flicks it right. You bet he does. He's been caught speeding on the pit exit then, and as such, he'll have to take an extra trip down in. Now, he has to be careful as he takes his pit stop, because, of course, the last thing you'd want as you get a penalty for speeding on pit exit is to get a speeding penalty on pit entry.
Yep. Just exacerbate the penalty. So that's unfortunate, because he was doing a good job of holding that position too, and was almost bridging the gap. So going to have to come down. I think it's a 1 second stop and hold that he'll have to do. So that puts him way back down the field. This battle's continuing on, and I tell you what, it's getting very, very spicy.
I would wholeheartedly have to agree with you in terms of this one. So now this is going to be very much a case of what can you do as we see that battle going through. Dennis Manka, we get a little focus on. He's got a really good run on the Ferrari of Mehdi Mokrani as they go through. And that is an attempt for the pass around the outside. Oh, wow. And it's almost completed, but you've got to do it again now here at turn 3. Small kink favours car on the inside. Almost contact there between them as they go through. The Ferrari unable to get any grip going through. Will have the better drive off the exit, but now all of a sudden, the freaky fast machine with the paint all over it will now get the drive. That grunt of the Mercedes, it's got such a great cadence in comparison to the Ferrari in terms of its gear ratio. And there you can see just that higher end gear is just so much stronger. And that is the move past score complete.
Took, what, 2 odd kilometres to get the move done, but he actually got it finished. Well done to Dennis Manka. And tough pass, but got it to work. He'll be happy that he's got it to work now. I said it was a 1 second stop and hold. Sadly, I was wrong. It's a 40-second stop and hold.
Yeah. iRacing really does punish you if you do start speeding on the pit lane, and it's those sorts of things that really do hurt. In terms of the gaps, they really have opened up. Toby Soriano in total command at this moment in time. The gap was 7 seconds. It's now 7.8. They go through that battle, still continuing between Mokrani here in the final 4 minutes of this race as he tries to get that Ferrari back. It's staying right nice there with that freaky fast racing machine. He'll be reading the back of that spoiler which says stay freaky fast. Well, he'll be trying to do more than be freaky fast. He'll try and be alien fast to get by.
Yep, exactly right. He'll be trying to just get the move done any which way he can. You've seen that you can do it around the outside, but I think it'd be tougher to get a move done around the outside in the Ferrari than it would be in the Mercedes. In saying that, not impossible, and I must say the defense from Manke, very, very aggressive. I do like seeing it though.
Well, here's the issue. The Ferrari can't match the speed of that Mercedes. It's that simple. Not quick enough in a straight line, and that is a big moment. And goodbye battle. Mehdi Mokrani struggling there going through turn 1. And all that battle comes to a very, very shuddering halt, Jay.
Yep. Unfortunate end to that battle. 1.5 laps to go for Soriano, though. He's just cruising along right now.
Yep, he is having a really good run of things at this stage. In fact, it might just be 2 laps to go this stage, depending on when he crosses the line. So we'll keep an eye out on this. Soriano has been doing 2:03.8 as he's been crossing. We'll keep an eye on the timer as he crosses that start-finish line to see whether it's 1 or 2 laps to go. The traffic in front of him is Marco Jaeger, who is 5 laps down at the moment. It looks like, at least by my mathematics, we're going 2 more laps here at this stage because he's going to cross the line with about 2:08 remaining on the clock. So it'll be at Toby Soriano's discretion whether we go 1 lap or 2.
Where Barney's not waving the white flag, so we've got 2 laps to go.
Yeah. I have actually done a little bit of digging here, Jay, whilst we've been on stream, and I've worked out who is on the side of Alejandro Ferrero's car.
Who would that be?
That would be, in terms of things going on, another one of the Vocaloids. Normally you'd see a green-haired Vocaloid on that sort of car called Hatsune Miku. That is measuring Luca out there. And the reason I know is because I managed to search up the paint on Trading Paints.
There you go. All over my head, I don't understand any of that stuff. Am I too old for that stuff? Is that what I'm trying to say there?
That would definitely be a yes there, Jay.
Yeah,
battle on, though. Well, it was a battle,
not a
but
battle.
that is lap traffic getting it done.
Good distraction, lap traffic. Well done. I like a distraction. Hey, we've got a battle going on here, though.
We do.
Closing in, and he's closed in very quickly. Now, we said... Well, actually, sorry, Reese has just got through.
Fast.
Yeah. Now... One thing I said before is we were going to go 19 laps, not 20. Well, we now are going to go 20 laps. So has anyone short-filled the car thinking that we are going to go 19 laps?
Well, that's the question, and that has been great work by Thomas Ressa, who has got that Nick Cage machine, making great progress, that Audi. It's through on what is Mark Winkler, who's been very quiet in this one, and I think it's a little bit too far to reach Bernie Perez, but really, what a wonderful drive Thomas Rez has had. Started P28 in the field today. He is now up 21 positions.
As soon as you said that, I just saw Nicolas Cage's eyes, and it was almost like a you don't say. Just the meme was perfect for that exact moment that you said there. So, yeah, what a race he's had. I mean, it hasn't been as easy as you'd look at it on paper. You go, wow, you passed 21 cars. He just had to thread the needle, and he gained quite a few. But even still, he had to find himself in the right place at the right time. Barney does wave the white flag this time, though.
By 3 seconds, we go 1 more lap here around this Road America circuit. The move has been concluded by Thomas Reza here as he is through on Mark Winkler, who I think at this point is just thinking about survival. And a lot of drivers right now thinking about how they bring their machine over towards the end, because Soriano has just been a cut above the rest.
Oh.
And Francisco Ramirez,
Short on fuel.
he has not got enough fuel to make it. So he'll make a splash and dash. Of course, he'll cost himself about 40 seconds or so end-to-end lane time, but it will mean that he will get a finish compared to, Ferrari! Macrani, very nearly finding disaster.
That was close, wasn't it? I thought he was in the wall. Now we got the Mercedes battle, and I think that Morales is just lifted off the throttle. He doesn't have enough fuel to make it home at full speed.
No, I think he's very much lifting and coasting by about 200, maybe even 500 meters in the Simpson machine.
Yep.
You can see the damage there as well. That will not be useful at this point in time. This has been an incredible run at this stage by Toby Soriano, and a lot of these lap down vehicles here today are going to try and make sure they fall a lap down just so they can make it to the flag. You can see that happening right now for Damon Martinez there in the McLaren, as well as Julius Falbush. Both of them want to finish on their respective laps, 1 lap down, get out of Dodge early, don't have to do another 6.44 kilometers. It's been a case of nobody can stop. There's still more slowing going on, you can see right now, but final corner for Toby Soriano, who has absolutely picked apart the field tonight. He is a reasonable race, but he has turned reasonable into remarkable. Toby Soriano, lights to flag at Road America.
Great victory, and Roger Rosenda looks like he's going to hold on for second place. So Soriano's just got it to the line. He's run out of fuel just at the finish line. Vendel Para's also just about run out of fuel. Sergio Junior just about out of fuel as well. So a few of these guys are really timing it perfectly for fuel. But I must say, driver of the day has to go to Thomas Risa, up from where did we say he was? 28th to 7th. That's incredible.
Yeah, Bernie Perez as well, 22nd to 6th. Can't shake a stick at that sort of drive.
100%.
Mark Winkler getting himself over the line as well. Barra Vieira, great recovery actually by Will Barra Vieira. Got himself involved in a few misdemeanors today, but to get back to 9th, that takes a bit of skill. Mikheyev then will round out the top 10, and it looks like Morales is out. Absolutely out of fuel. 60Ks, he is not going to get home without a push.
And this is a battle for position here. Ramirez, remember, he just come in and did that splash and dash of fuel.
Oh, he's got the
And
run.
Morales has got the run. Daniel Cruz has got the run. After having to come in and serve a stop and go penalty.
He's got it.
Got the position. So he gains 2 spots on the last lap.
Well, someone called Diego Morales will be hoping that somebody is very, very nice and gives him a tow over to the line. Benoit Lepezanek is not going to be that person. And in terms of the leading lap, Francisco Ramirez was the last person. So sorry, Diego. I believe the last bus has left the depot, and you, my friend, are going to be classified as a lap down unless Antonio Peixer decides that he wants to be good. He's 5 laps down. He's got nothing to lose here. So confirmation of result. Toby Soriano will pick up the victory then. 42 minutes and a second out there on circuit. He wins by 11 seconds over Roger Rosenda, forcing everyone to find fumes as they come over to the line. Vendel Para will take 3rd position with Sergio Junior in 4th position. Artem Grabov, the first Audi in 5th, and lucky to be still racing after lap 1's shenanigans. Bernie Perez, what a drive from him, up 16 places into 6th overall, with Thomas Reza doing the biggest gain of everyone, 28th to 7th. He was a massive component of the race in the Nick Cage car. It was going to be for Mark Winkler, 8th place then, come the end, with Will Barra Vieira recovering to 9th and Miron Mikheyev rounding out then the top 10. Dennis Manka would get 11th position overall in the Mercedes, with Mehdi Mokrani, some would say lucky to save everything there, in the only Ferrari in 12th. Christian Ortega there finishes in 13th, with Alejandro Ferrero in what you could say is the Good Smile Vocaloid car there in what is 14th position overall. Daniel Cruz then 15th for him after having to take a drive-through penalty for speeding on pit exit. Francisco Ramirez, 16th, last finish on the leading lap in the Audi. Diego Morales will be classified as 1 lap down in the Mercedes, with Damon Martinez also 1 lap down in the McLaren. And then those drivers who are multiple laps down, Antonio Peixer managed to finish, as did Julius Falbouche out there on circuit today. But all these drivers 90th on back got caught up in the big lap 1 incident going out of the kink and down the kettle bottoms. The catalyst being Marco Jaeger, who was able to get out, as was Mathieu van Hokelen in the Ferrari and Benoit Lepezanek there, but everyone else unable to. John Derrick, Luis Gonzaga Filio, Julian Ezekiel Alvarez, Scott Brazier, Daniel Merdelon, and Maxime Tillineuve, both Fords, got caught out in the opening lap incident, which is a real shame to say in terms of today. But next time out, it is Phillip Island. It's going to be another high-speed, high-drama circuit. And this Phillip Island track, of course, you would say by now here, Jay, is even more sim-friendly than it used to be. Now you could say this is a wonderful track for wonderful VRS GT Sprint Series action.
Should be an amazing circuit. We've seen in real life GT racing at Phillip Island be absolutely grandstand winning, or grandstand finish worthy. So looking forward to seeing how it plays out at the beautiful Phillip Island circuit. It will be freezing cold there in real life at the moment, but looking forward to seeing the heat out on the track next week.
Absolutely, and that heat you can only catch here with us at SimSpeed TV. If you haven't had the chance already, you can like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content, not only on YouTube, but also on Facebook as well. But of course, a massive thanks has to go to those who get it done for us. The Virtual Racing School, title sponsor of the GT Sprint Series and sponsor of our replays over the course of this year. From, of course, Jake Kennedy pulling double duties on cameras and on commentary, and from myself, Jake Sperry. It was a masterclass by Toby Soriano. He put everybody on his back and said, catch me if you can. He got everything, pole position, fastest lap. He got himself, of course, as well as all of that, every single lap led a grand slam here at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. And from going from Packer territory over towards where we head to next in Phillip Island, going to be one where I'm sure you'll all want to join us for. We'll see you 1 week from now as we get to action, of course, from the wonderful Phillip Island circuit.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god!
Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go. Oh no.
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?